Yo, big up to everybody tuning into this very special episode right now of this series. I think I only have one previous video under this series, but definitely more to come after this one. But you don't know it go. Wagwan, why pre, where you deal with, where you dep on, up top, blessings, bless up. And I really want to keep this one relatively short. I know you guys probably have really busy schedules, but it's probably not even really that much to talk about, anyways. Much love and respect to We Maxit Football and Dana U Simpson in the chat with the early comments. But for this one, I want to keep majority of the questions until after the story, and the other comments we can go through as the story progresses. But for me, before I actually start the actual story, I really like hearing people's individual stories of how they became football fans, not just fans of Manchester City, but overall, because I feel like every club just has that, I want to say, something that just pulls you in, that factor that just captivates you, and it just makes you want to be a football fan or want you to support a specific team. For some people that might be Liverpool, for some people that might be Oldham Athletic, for some people it might be Sheffield United, for some people like me it was Manchester City. So that's where the series came from. Obviously, we had MCFC Daps from Never a Fall on the channel. Much appreciate the love that he's shown us on the channel here. And I thought that after that, it's my time now to let you guys know where this whole channel is stemming from in the first place. So basically, my earliest memory of watching football was around the 2006 World Cup. I don't remember too much from that because I was only 6 years old at the time. But I remember I would be coming home from school and my older brother and his friends would be there watching a game. And I would usually just come in, get changed out of my uniform, and watch the rest of the game with them. And I remember Italy being the team that I would see the most often, but that might just be because they were the eventual winners. And they were also playing some good football, so I was obviously enjoying that. I wouldn't class myself as a football fan at that point, though, but my older brother definitely was. If I remember correctly, I think he told me that he used to be a part of one of the national youth teams for Jamaica. If I'm remembering correctly, I do think he told me that. Um, Most of the time, I ended up watching a football match, though. It would be because he was watching and I was kind of just hanging around. I remember seeing some Barcelona games with him, with Ronaldinho and Messi a couple of times. And so I knew that the sport could be very exciting. Obviously, you see players like this and you see them doing some mad skills, and it's like, yo, that's so cool. Like you kind of develop a little bit of interest from that. But our cable situation is also a bit shaky, so I think we had one channel that you could catch Premier League games on, and another channel that you might catch a La Liga game or some other stuff over there. Memory is kind of fuzzy because that's really, really far back. But my older brother, he is a Manchester United fan. So the majority of the times that he was watching a match, it would usually be a Man U game, right? And I don't remember exactly when I started watching Premier League games with him, but every now and then I was drifting in to come see what he's doing today. Other times, he's watching, but I'm not really interested. I'm doing something else, just being a kid. And I never played football myself unless it was just like purely recreational. I'd have some friends over in the yard, and one of them would have a ball, and they'd bring it over, and we'd all just go crazy in the yard, or we're playing cricket or something like that. But I think it was usually football that we defaulted to most of the time. But anyways, back to the story. My brother would always try to get me more into football, and when I speak to him now, I always tell him like, you should have tried harder because no, I wish I listened back then. But then again, I do know that I probably was really stubborn and hard headed. So I mean, it kind of is what it is. And he probably was like, "Yeah, I'm not going through all of that. I did try though." And I think he was trying in very subtle ways to try to make me a Manchester United fan, and he won't admit to that. because to be fair, he never really did anything outright like buy me a Man United shirt or tell me, yo, make sure you support this team or anything like that. He gave me my choice to make, but I feel like he would always try to talk up United with every opportunity he got. He tell me about their history, and he tell me about all the trophies they won, and then he tell me about having all the best players in the league and the treble and all of that, right? And personally, I don't really blame him for trying, because if I had a younger brother, I would probably do the same thing with City. So I mean, that's the game. You really want somebody to enjoy your team with, and you know, he probably looked at me as a target. But what he was saying wasn't working, because for me, the moment I realized that he liked a specific team in the league, I know I had to pick a different team, just so we could both look forward to separate things. I would like to enjoy my team beating his team and getting one over him and say, "Oh, I beat you this week. You can't talk to me." Like, I was really competitive. I kind of still am really competitive, but that's how I was thinking back then. Like, I wasn't like supporting Manchester United was never a thought in my mind, just because he was a Manchester United fan. It wasn't even having anything against them at that point in time. But after watching, a bit more football with him, I started liking and respecting a lot of the United players as great footballers. Players like Paul Scholes, Edwin van der Sar. I thought he was a sick goalkeeper for them. Giggs, obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo, Rooney, and Berbatov. Berbatov was sick. But for me, the one who really caught my eye was Carlos Tevez. And I know you guys see where I'm going with this now. Now, before I continue, do me a favor, like the stream and subscribe. Really cool story. We have Elijah Lawson in the comments, and he's saying, Wagwan, brother, get news. Doku soon be announced, and Matheus Nunes agree personal terms. I think Doku will be an exceptional signing for Manchester City. Hopefully his injuries get better. Being at the club, I really do like our medical staff and trust them, but I'm keeping an eye on that situation. Aside from that, I think he'll be an amazing signing. Matheus Nunes, I'm going to leave that one a little bit. I want to talk on that a little bit more when things get a little bit more solidified with that. But much appreciate you for being here, my brother. But yeah, let me get this up before I forget again. Like, subscribe, and share the content, because getting into the story, I'm definitely going to forget to remind you guys. So that's just your gentle reminder right there. But yeah, Carlos Tevez was the player who I was looking at and saying, yo, that man is an absolute baller. I love watching him just get around the pitch. He'd play with such aggressive passion. He was great technically, and he was scoring goals. He was doing a lot of creative work in the build-ups. Um, I bet a lot of players fit that description in that United team, because I probably could have said the same thing about Rooney or Ronaldo, but I don't know. It's kind of a thing with me where it's like I kind of like to be different sometimes, and that's probably part of the reason why I wasn't even considering to look at Manchester United, because for me it's already claimed. I look at players like Ronaldo and Rooney, and I'm like, these are amazing players, but I don't feel like that guy is getting enough respect for the level that he's doing. So I started watching Tevez more closely, and then I just started developing that much more respect for what he was doing on the pitch. But yeah, regardless, I just felt like something about him was just so captivating, and it pulled me into watching more. And I can't lie, he genuinely became my favorite footballer in the world at that time. Obviously, limited sample size, and again, I'm like 8 years old, 9 years old at this point in time. But I remember telling myself at the time that as much as I'm not going to support, like choose United as a team that I support, I'm probably going to keep watching them just so I could continue to see Tevez play. That was it for me. Now, this part I kind of remember a little better, but it was the start of the new season in 2009. That time I would have probably just turned 9 years old as well, probably like a month, because the season starts in August. Um, I went to my brother to see if he was watching any football, and he said, something like, "Oh, so you just happen to like football now? Are you sure you're not pretending to like it just because I do?" And he always likes to do this thing where it's like, I copy him because I look up to him as my older brother and all of that. But I was genuinely developing a liking to the beautiful game, and he's setting up to watch his game. Obviously, it was a Man U game, and he asked me, "What team am I going to support?" And make sure you don't say United just because I support them and all of that. And I remember him also telling me that Tevez wasn't at United anymore. So for me, that's even all the more reason to say, like, yo, why am I looking at this team then? So I asked him where Tevez went, and he told me he went to Manchester City. And we did the whole, huh? I thought your team was Manchester. Like, what do you mean Manchester City? Is that a different? I thought you was United. Like, I'm confused. And he's like, oh no, it's a city. Two different teams come from the same city. They're kind of like rivals and all of that. And Tevez is there. And I'm thinking to myself, so you're telling me, hold on, you're telling me that not only I get to see more Tevez, but I can pick a team that is a traditional rival to your team, and you could not tell me so you have anything to do with me picking this team for hold that over me. That's what you're telling me. Bet I'm in. So I was looking at it, and all the lines were just connecting, all the dots were connecting, and in my head I'm just like, this is a no-brainer. Like I have to pick this team. And if I remember correctly, that game that he was watching was the Manchester Derby and Tevez was playing. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely watching this 100%. And I think that was shortly after the season had started. No, lie. I don't think it was the same day. I don't think it was the same day. I think I had come back a different day when it was the Derby, and I found out that Tevez was playing. And he played. I don't remember if he started, but I remember him getting at least one or two assists in the game, and he completely went off. Like, he had a crazy good game, and I was just watching him like, yo, this is it. This is me right here. I'm picking this team. This is my team. There's no going back. I'm gonna fully go and support this team. And I remember my brother telling me as well, like, don't just go randomly choose a team. Like, you need to choose wisely, because you're not allowed to switch teams under any circumstances. And that was a rule that basically every football fan, or every genuine football fan, follows and abides by this rule. Now, not only am I very, very happy with the choice I made on that day, I still think that's a very important rule, because I don't like the whole bandwagon thing where you support this team and then this team start winning, so you just hop and say, "Oh, I'm a fan of this team now." Like, or you pretend like you've been there since day one. For me, with the good times or the bad times, you just have to work with it. So even if City got relegated twice and then went up back and then settled in the championship, I would have still been a City fan to this day. And even if Tevez left after 1 year or something like that, again, I would still be a Manchester City fan to this day, because I made that decision and I knew that I was standing by this decision. And I would still attribute that to Tevez signing for the club that brought me to Manchester City. And it's not just like, looking at it now, it's not just Tevez is here, so I'm supporting this club. It's like Tevez coming here introduced me to this club. That's how more I would explain that situation. But yeah, that's a decision I was prepared when I was making it. I was prepared to stand by that regardless of what happened. So I remember one time my brother thought that I still wasn't like fully serious about wanting to be a City fan, and I was just doing it to annoy him. And this was like probably a month or so after the Manchester Derby, and he said to me, "You can't even name five Manchester City players or something like that." So I just looked at him and I was like, "All right, Joe Hart, Vincent Company, Zabaleta." I'm calling out first names too, so he's like stunned. He's like, "Wait, why you know all of these players?" I almost gave him a whole 11. I was like, Joe Hart, Vincent Company, Pablo Zabaleta, Lescott, Garrett Barry, Tevez, Aguero. I know that's not five, but I gave you some extras in there. Oh, I also dropped Emmanuel Adebayor, because I didn't think he would know that I knew Emmanuel Adebayor because he knows I liked Tevez. You see, and well, Aguero didn't play at the time, but yeah, I gave him Tevez and Adebayor, and he was just shocked, like, you know what, fair play, dating. But I felt like that was also the point. Like that conversation was also the point where he actually started respecting me as another football fan and realized that I'm actually planning to seriously go on and support this team. So I felt like that in itself, as much as I got a good laugh out of it, I think it worked very constructively between me and him as well. But yeah, after that, it became a bit harder to watch games, and when it wasn't my brother watching, it would probably be my father watching other sports, and I had to really just sit one out. Sometimes we'd play after United was playing, and my brother would give me the heads up, like, "Hey, our game just finished. Your game's about to start, so come watch it." I'd get to watch those games. Other times it would be like I'm out in the community, like I'm going to the shop or something, and they'd have the game on, and I get to see a bit of the game on this particular day and stuff like that. But it wasn't very much consistency. I was just trying to watch as much football as I can whenever the opportunity came up, and I could just take advantage of it. Um, I remember at one point there, I got a phone that I could use and go on the internet. There was this website my brother also told me about, which was livescore.com. And basically on that I could go forward and see the fixtures in the Premier League when they were coming up. I could see when City's playing, what time we're playing, and I could just prepare for that day at that time. And then I'd be on the app just waiting for it to update. I'd be refreshing it, the time's going by. I know when we score, I get the notifications, yellow cards, all of that stuff, right? And that's what it had to be for me, to just to keep in touch with the club. And a lot of people would be like, "Oh, so you weren't really watching then." That's kind of true, but I do feel like it was a bit out of my hands though, and I just had to do what I could to keep up with the team. I remember the first time I saw Aguero play. I didn't get to see his first game live, but I think the first one I saw from him was a goal where he scored against Liverpool. Basically, he had the ball outside the box, and then he was dribbling, but he went out towards like the direction of the corner flag, and the keeper came with him, and then him chip him from basically like next to the corner flag with no angle at all. Like him chip the ball straight over Reina head, Pepe Reina, I think it was. And it went, I went crazy when I saw that go in. I went absolutely mad because the confidence you would need to have to pull off something like that, let alone the talent. It was like, yo, Tevez, this is dangerous. No, you just might lose your spot if this man continue like this. But yeah, I was so happy to see another wicked goal scorer at the club. Obviously, by that time we had Balotelli and Dzeko as well, so I would have seen games from them. But Aguero, man, he came in and it was just instant impact, and it was explosions in every game, like explosive performances from him. I absolutely loved watching Aguero and Tevez. But for me, by the end of that season, I think Aguero had passed Tevez for me as my favorite footballer in the world. And for me, Sergio Aguero still is and probably will always be my favorite footballer of all time. But yeah, he's definitely a hero for me. And funny enough, the 93-20 moment at the end of the season, I did not get to see that live. At that point in time, I was like 11, maybe just about to turn 12. And I remember going to school on the day, had that same live score up in class, and I was just reloading it and hoping that somehow we get the goals up. I remember us being 2-1 down, and I saw the 2-2 late, and I was like, yo, there's still a chance. So the thing with me as a kid, and I'm still like this now in certain ways, I was very, very optimistic. So for me, I'm looking at a team and I'm saying like, yo, we're gonna win every game. Like every game, all these players are gonna turn up, and we are going to see the best of them. And if we do that, we are going to win every game because I know how good our players are. Keep in mind, I wasn't watching any of the other teams. I was just watching us. So this was just blind optimism. Like, yo, Manchester City is it. we're gonna be at the top every single time, and then we're always just going to achieve, and there's always a chance as long as the match isn't at full time. So I had a feeling that we were going to hit that 93-20 moment. I didn't ever think it would be that dramatic, and even when it happened, I didn't know how dramatic it was because I just know that the match looked like it was about to end. And then when I reloaded it, I saw 3-2, and I was like, yes, come on. I looked at the table. I saw what you call it? I saw the goal difference and us over them the same 89 points. I was like, yes, come on. You see me? So that was definitely something great to remember. But actually going back and like rewatching moments and games like that, it's like, yo, I just imagine like what if I was actually seeing this live, and imagine being in the stadium at that point in time. I love hearing when the fans I speak to who actually live in Manchester tell me about their experiences in the 93-20 moment. Big Steve has told it a fair few times on his platform, and it literally does not lose any of its effect anytime I hear it. Goosebumps just every time I remember everything around that 93-20 moment. That was amazing. But yeah, watching games was always like an on and off thing for me because of the circumstances in which I grew up. At the time, I was still enjoying it, and I was telling myself that eventually there is going to be a time where I can watch every single game for the season, for multiple seasons in a row, like one day, you know? And I didn't get to watch games on a fairly consistent basis until like the 16-17 season. And I was in high school at the time. I think I gotten a better phone, obviously a much better phone than the one I had previously, but it wasn't really like, oh yeah, game changer. No, it was really the next year for me where I can remember much more from the 17-18 season when we actually went on and got Centurion's achievement and hit 100 points. That's the season I have a lot more recollection of, because at that point I also had a laptop in addition to the phone, and I was able to catch a lot more games than the previous year, and obviously all the years before that. It wasn't as chip chop and stop start as before. But I feel like that's a point where I completed my transition from a casual fan, and probably back then I thought I was like, oh, big Manchester City fan, but now how, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say no, how engrossed and yeah, I'll go with engrossed. How engrossed I am in the Manchester City culture and the football club itself. I was definitely a casual fan back then because I was not taking it as seriously as I am now, right? So now I would consider myself a diehard football fan and Manchester City fan, but that's the point where I'm looking at that Centurion season where I made that full transition from, okay, this isn't just like a pastime. I'm just going to watch games occasionally. No, like I do not want to miss a single game. I want to see as much football as possible. I want to see this team play every opportunity I get. I want to see all the transfers and ins and outs. I want to know how long this guy's contract is. Or, I want to know what's his release clause. I'm watching multiple other teams now, not just Manchester City. I'm watching other Big Six teams, other Premier League games. I'm looking at other leagues as well. I'm watching a bunch of international games. Like the difference between me as a fan now and then is like night and day. But yeah. Um and personally, since I have all of that last time as well, before I got the opportunity to be more consistent, I'll say, I would love to like go back over a lot of those important games because I know I probably can find them on the internet now. I want to go back over them. I want to rewatch them, and some of them I'll be experiencing the full game for it for the first time. So it'll be like a time traveling, capsule for me. So I'm looking forward to those. And I also really like hearing from other people even before I started supporting the club. I can always go back and research all of that stuff, but I feel like you learn it so much more personally when someone is passing down that information to you. They can explain things a bit more in depth than me just going out to do some research. So an older Manchester City fan who was there to experience everything, or not everything obviously, but a lot of stuff before '09 when I really got introduced into football properly. um, I feel like it would be a great experience for me to learn certain things from them about the club and what was going on in those times. And I'm always willing to or open to learning and listening to all these City fans, man. Because sometimes I even get a bit, I want to say, like, envious that they got to see that total journey, coming up from League One to going on to win a treble. Obviously, when I started watching, that first season, we won the. Did we win the FA Cup that season, or was that the next season? So yeah, I think it was the next season, 10-11 season. We won the FA Cup, and then the year after that, we won the Premier League. So me starting watching in that '09-10 season, like the year after the takeover, it's obviously like a great time to start supporting the club. But I would love to have had that holistic journey like other Manchester City fans can, you know, be proud of, in which everybody has their own story and individual journey. So it is what it is, like everybody has their own story that they need to tell. Mine needed to start from '09, and that's why I'm here telling it to you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I know it's probably not the typical fun story that most people are used to hearing, but I think that's one of the things that are so cool about football, because I do believe that everything happens for a reason, and you can be in the right place at the right time. And I just feel like, for me, seeing Tevez for United just before he moved to City was kind of like, it was just meant to be. Because if that had happened a year before, because I think Tevez was on loan at United for 2 years. If that had happened the year before and I saw him there, who knows what could have happened? I could have been a. I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say it, bro. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Um, Sometimes I really wish that somebody close to me, like my father or maybe like a best friend or something like that, was also a Manchester City supporter, and they could teach me stuff about the club and pass down that information to me that they already know from supporting before me. Share that I could bounce thoughts and ideas off of them, share experiences with legendary moments like 93-20 and stuff like that. But one brother is a Manchester United fan, my other brother is a Aston Villa fan, and my father doesn't really watch football like that. None of my friends were Blues either, unless it's Chelsea fans. Um, I do believe that it happened like this for a specific reason, and in the future, I'm supposed to be that person for somebody else. I'm going to introduce somebody to the club. I don't know who that's going to be, but I'll tell them all I know. I'm going to tell them all my stories, especially the travel story. Definitely drafting that travel story and copywriting it for how I'm planning to tell it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had. And we have a couple more comments in here. Um, Delhi Famakinde. I'm not sure if I just butchered your name. Let me know if I pronounced it correctly, but I'm gonna call you Delhi. Delhi says, 12 years ago, I'm the only Man City fan in my country home, but now thousands have emulated my love and passion for the club. Reasons I was awarded the FE's Fellow of Etihad Stadium. Yeah. I also want to get, so like how I had MCFC Daps coming in for the first episode of this series, telling the story of how he became a Manchester City fan. Also, if you guys haven't seen that, it's still up, so you can definitely go and check that out. I'd love to get other viewers of my channel, like you guys, to come on and we can have that conversation as well. You tell me how you got into football and how you were introduced to Manchester City, because, like I said, all the stories are unique, and it's just so great to hear them. I'm sure you're super happy about um the whole entire journey you got to see. And Elijah says, how I started supporting Man City back in 2021 when I was 12 years old or 13. The first match City play was against Liverpool when it was 1-1. And since I'm still a City fan to this day, and you said in 2020 was when that game happened. Don't remember exactly which game that is, because those games against Liverpool were just massive, massive games every single time. So and I was enjoying all of them. So yeah, it's I'm sure it's been a good journey for you as well from 2020 to now. So big up yourself, man. And obviously, we have We Maxi Football back in the building again. Big up, Bossy. Big up yourself to my bro. And you are another person I need to come on the channel and tell me your story of how you became a Manchester City fan. I know you became a football fan in general because it's not just about Manchester City. I also want to get some other fans from other clubs to come and tell me their story of how they became football fans as well. But we max it, we need to have a chat, and we need to schedule that to get you on here because I feel like your story is going to be a very interesting one. I will need the people to hear from you. But yeah, and you still haven't made a debut on the channel yet as well. So I'm looking forward to that, man. But much appreciate all the support from all you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to put the banner back up one more time. Like the thing. If you are new here, then also subscribe. And if you're not new here, then hit the bell and share. And much appreciate any bit of support I can get from you guys. Still on the goal of hitting 100 subscribers by the end of this year. And I think we're still on track to that. I really do think it's very possible. So hopefully we get that sooner than later and we can get bigger goals to you can set bigger goals and get even bigger achievements with the channel continue to grow. um we Max it says we'll link up after coming off vacation and no problem. Yeah, man, enjoy your vacation 100%. There's also an international break coming up now, and I know you do a lot of international content, so I feel like that would probably be a worse time to get you on. But like I said, the season is long. We can definitely work something out eventually, my brother. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I will see you guys again on Friday, I believe, for the preview for the Sheffield United game, the next Premier League game that's coming up. Might have a guest on for that as well. And also, this coming international break, I'm working on something big for the channel. So don't miss it. This coming international break, which is after we play Fulham, I'm working on something big for the channel. Fingers crossed that it goes through because this would be huge for me and huge for the channel. So until next time, my side, I hope to see you guys. We max it with the last message coming in. Buzzer beat a message and he says, I'm coming on, boss. Bless up, 100%, man. Big up, and until next time.